Looch on ice, we break it down each week. Puck drops hard, hear the fans all scream. From the highlight reels, we catch every peak. In the fast lane, we live the hockey dream. Stick handling magic, every move's a skill. Looch on ice, we got the weekly scoop. From power plays to the hardest hits in the loop. Join the ride, feel that action, no excuse. NHL round up for the hockey news crew. Goals and assists, the numbers never lie. From golden gloves to the rivalries that fly. On ice battles, real grit and we pride. With Looch on the mic, we rise to the sky. Every play's electric, they give us a thrill. Looch on ice, we got the weekly scoop. From power plays to the hardest hits in the loop. Trying to ride, feel that action, no excuse. NHL round up with the hockey news crew. The numbers never lie. From golden gloves to the rivalries that fly. On ice battles, real grit and we pride. With Looch on the mic, we rise to the sky. Every play's electric, they give us a thrill. Looch on ice, we got the weekly scoop. From power plays to the hardest hits in the loop. Join the ride, feel that action, no excuse. NHL round up with the hockey news crew. So lace up tight, let's roll with the fight. Looch on ice, hockey vibes feeling right.
What's up, Looch?
Microphone, got to turn it on.
There you are.
Good. We are back. It's been a little while, but we're back. We are trying to work out some glitches in the system and working on this restream. So we are good to go tonight.
All right, let's do this.
All right. I see you got your Ranger hat on. Nice.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't want to wear my Westfield hat anymore because I think I've been identified as too much as a part of Westfield's program, and I don't think is a good idea for them or me. So I'm going to try and not, I don't want to give people that impression anymore that I'm anything more than a fan, So
Gotcha. Well,
anyway,
Rangers.
What do we got going on, Looch? Got
Rangers
playoff hockey. We got the lottery coming up.
We got no Rangers, no Islanders, and no Devils. But the Flyers.
When was the last time, or has it ever been, with the three teams all in the lottery? Has that happened before?
Oh, geez, yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time. I could say what did we have? We had the Rangers and the Devils had the picks that one year. What was it? I think that was Jack Hughes. Was the year that Jack Hughes?
Yeah, and we ended up with Kako. Yep.
Or Kako. That was Kako. Yeah, that's right. And where is he now? Nowhere to be found.
There was even this crazy talk that, maybe Kako's the better player, and which was ridiculous. So
yeah. Well, Left did play a lot better towards the end there. So hopefully that's a little bit of a light for him, and maybe next year he'll step it up a notch and we'll get some good play out of him.
I've always felt like Laf would, break out and turn into the player that we thought he could be. We've seen signs of it. This Laffy, I've never seen before.
Right.
Just consistent scoring goals in different ways. He had showed the one-on-one skill before, but who knew he was so good in front of the net deflecting pucks. Sullivan's tried to get him to play a certain way in front of the net and use his body and his strength. He clicked with Perreault. I think, as we talked about before, some of the stuff I read and the scout said he looked more assertive. I thought, I had said there was, the guy's playing with, Panarin, one of the top wings and the top players in the league. He should be able to score more, but maybe that worked against him. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean Perreault too. Perreault's been great. Was great. Jeez. That was definitely nice to see, him stepping up, and I guess with some of the other guys being gone, these guys got to step up eventually. So
yeah, I think we saw what we saw from Perot is, he's going to be a really good player. I think, I might have mentioned this before. I read The Athletic, and they have two writers, Corey Prodman and Scott Wheeler, who write exclusively about prospects. And Wheeler was very high on Perot even before he broke out at the National Development Program. He went out on a limb and he thought he was special. Ranked him in his top 10. A lot of people said he was nuts. Recently, Prodman came out with his rankings of the top under 25 players or prospects in the NHL, and he ranked Perot 115. And they were on a podcast together, and they, got into I don't want to call it an argument, but a heavy debate. Prodman and many other scouts were of the opinion that Perot was too small and not fast enough to be anything more than a middle six winger, as where Wheeler felt his hockey IQ, his vision, his spatial awareness, and the way, he could thread passes and made him special, and that the skating wouldn't be a problem. That, and I've seen this with my own son, who's not, very fast skater, not to compare him to, an NHL player, but, it didn't hurt my son in a lot of ways because he had such a high hockey IQ. He was able to put himself in position or make plays without the speed of other players. And Perot, so there was two schools of thought. Is Perot going to be a top line 90 to 100 point scorer like Wheeler thought, or is he going to be a middle six winger? I thought, I always thought Wheeler was right. I thought the hype on Perot with Ranger fans was a little much. And I think from what I saw, I think Wheeler proved to be right. Look, he's got a long way to go, Perot, but we know he's not going to be a bust. He's shown the capability of, being a top-line player. Now he's just got to keep working at it. And, I think the Rangers got themselves a steal with the 24th pick. And I think, I said before, he's a poor man's Panarin, he's very similar. Of course, he's not there yet. It's going to take him a couple years. But he's that type of player. So now you got the replacement for Panarin, right, with Perot. Now if Laffy is finally turning into what we thought he is, right? And listen, he's not going to be, McDavid or, Bernard or Declan Celebrini, but he could be a 90, 100-point guy, and drive offense.
Right.
And, if he steps into that, now the Rangers got much better without having to go out and get anybody. We'll see about Mika. He's still going to be 33. He had a great year. I still don't think he's a first liner. Miller hopefully will be healthy and have a bounce back year. And then we'll see from there. We'll see who they get during the offseason. We got our Brady Tkachuk out there. I'm convinced more than ever he's going to want out of there.
Right.
I don't see him wanting to stay. And by the way, did you hear what happened with him in the podcast with his brother and dad?
No, I don't think so. Maybe I did. Well,
so on the podcast, they were talking about something with Ottawa, and Matt Tkachuk said, "Well, what's the usual problem there? Like not enough playing time or something." He was being cryptic, and the dad's like, "Yeah, the coach doesn't play him enough." And Matt Tkachuk was like, "Yeah, well, we know that." And Brady was like, "Come on, Dad," he didn't want him to put that out publicly, but it's clear,
Right.
he's not happy. So I was talking to my son about this today, and I said, I don't see him resigning there. And he said, why? I think, if they got themselves a goalie, they might be a cup contender. I think that's a little ambitious of my son. But I said, Jackson, because his brother learned in Calgary, it's too hard to win up in Canada. There's too many things to go against it. And why would he stay up there when he could go anywhere he wants? His contract's up in 2 years. I really believe he's going to want out of there. Now, Does that mean he ends up at a Ranger? We'll see. He has a no-move clause, so he can direct where he wants to go. They got as good a chance as anybody. But here's something for you, Looch. As I said to my son, or maybe he takes less money and signs with Florida like everybody else does.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. So, well, they're down 2-0. Ottawa's down 2-0. So I'm kind of hoping they get bumped out. Maybe that'll piss Brady off enough to want to come to the Rangers. It
definitely doesn't hurt having them go down early. And I don't. That's why I didn't want them to make the playoffs. Down 2-0, huh?
Yeah, down
I
2
think
nothing.
Carolina is going to come out of the East.
Right, right, yeah. I'm a big fan of Buffalo. I like their team. I like
Who?
Buffalo Sabres. I like
Yeah,
Tage Thompson. They haven't won in a while. I like Rasmus Dahlin. You got Matthias Samuelson on the back end too, and as a defenseman who had a great year this year. I like that. I like that team for some reason. I don't know if it's just they're somewhat local to us. They're another New York team, but I don't know. I
no,
kind of
a
like
lot of
Buffalo.
a lot of people like them because they got good young talent, Rasmus Dahlin, and
Yeah,
some players like that. They had a great second half of the year. They're legit, um, but that's not the best matchup for them in the first round. Boston, look,
yeah,
Buffalo became kind of a trendy, sexy pick to make the finals, so they're playing so well. There's usually a little bit of a learning curve with teams and young teams like that. Like you don't just go in the playoffs and go on a run like that as the team hasn't been in the playoffs in a long time. You got to take your lumps, and Boston's an experienced team. They're good. They got Pasternak. They got Charlie McAvoy. They got the goalie. They got Connor
hmm
Geeky. They got Higgins. So you know
yeah,
it's they got their hands full in that series. Calgary, not Calgary, Carolina, I'm not a fan. I think they're overrated. They're at a little darlings, but I think this is the year everything breaks right for them.
yep,
Um, the East is not strong. Tampa's probably, you know, the best team, but maybe it's Carolina's time. And Brind'Amour's, let's win every game, nothing, style of play gets them there. We'll see. Um, they made the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of times in the last few years, and they won't have to face Florida.
yeah,
So I think it might be their year. They're going to go down in
yeah.
the finals, whoever they play. But
Right, right. Yeah, Colorado in the West is a powerhouse. But
or Edmonton, or just take it. How about Dallas and the Wild having to play in the first
oh
round,
yeah, yeah, the
and then the
Wild.
winner of that series has to play Colorado?
Yeah, the Wild took it to them. What 6-1? I think the first game.
Yeah, they're tied 1-1 now,
It's
though. But
yeah,
imagine,
series.
so Colorado, instead of having to play, I don't know, anybody has to play the winner of that series.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Good
it's not.
grief!
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been like trying to watch all the games. Like some of them are overlapping, and it's driving me crazy. I'm like, I gotta bump over to this channel and go back to that channel, and I'm like finding myself hitting the remote, click, 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 click. Going over to watch all the different games. I mean,
Yeah,
Montreal and Tampa were what a great game.
yeah. Tampa
You
scored
know,
late. No, it was Colorado scored late and then won in overtime.
yeah,
Um,
no,
I'll give you
that
an
was.
upset pick. I think the Mammoth might be Vegas,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I'll
That
tell you
series.
why. I think Vegas has gotten very far away from what made them successful. That went to two finals and won a Stanley Cup. I that depth, that grinded out mentality. They became star chasers, and they got a lot of time. I have a feeling that that's going to catch up to them. But you know what? What
Right.
do I know? I get everything wrong, Looch. So don't listen to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if we're streaming tonight. I'm getting texts here saying that we're not on for some reason.
What's that?
I'm getting okay, live. Looch on Ice is live now. Oh, we are on. Okay. I'm getting a text from a couple people saying that they're not finding our link on Facebook or something, but we'll keep rolling, I guess, and see what we
Oh, we're
got going
live
on
on
here.
Facebook. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
Is
I
it
see.
live on my site too?
I see it on Facebook, but
I'm wondering if I could do that.
yeah, if you look on Facebook, you could see it. But anyway, yeah, the Montreal and Tampa game. What a great game! Jeez, the first game was unbelievable with Slavkovsky. He got a hat trick in that game, and the
Montreal's
Canadians.
good. They're
Yeah,
good.
I know. I like that team. Caulfield and
They're not far away.
yeah, no, they're not. They got a hell of a team. You know,
Cole Caulfield with 50 goals. You know,
yeah, yeah,
There's an example. right? Of size not mattering, like people, like scouts, he was a prolific goal scorer in the U.S. national development team and growing up. He has a ridiculous shot, and he dropped to the middle of the first round because he was small. Well, how's that working out for everybody right now?
Yeah.
You could play, Sure, size matters, but not if you're really good. And I've said this for 25 years, especially in the 90s when size became all the rage. I'd rather have a good small guy than an awful big guy.
Right.
So Caulfield fits that mold. Panarin's not the biggest guy. Look what he does. It's a different game now than it used to be. Look, size helps, but it's not the be all end all.
No, he's playing good with LA too. He's not having a bad stint with them right now. So
yeah, but they got Colorado.
Ooh. Yeah, oh yeah, I know. That's a tough one. Yeah, what's that? That's a 2-0 series too. Colorado's up 2-0 in that series.
Yeah, I think they're going to win that series, and then
yeah, I think so too. I agree.
We'll see what happens in the second round.
And then you got the Pens and the Flyers. This is one of my favorite series. I like the Flyers. I hate to say that, but I have a little soft spot for them. This Porter Martone is playing.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that, okay?
Yeah, I know. As a Ranger fan, listen, I just want them to get through the first round. If they get through to the first round, they beat the Pens. I want somebody else to beat them, either Carolina or Buffalo or somebody like that. I'm not by all means, I'm not becoming a Flyer fan at all. We got Joe Watson on the show, who's a Flyer. Our buddy Jimmy Dowd's was a Flyer.
Jimmy was in everything.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out he played for the California Golden Seals. Yeah. All kidding aside, they have good young talent. Porter Martone's the real deal. They got some other prospects on the way, and they built the foundation there. So they're going to be a force to reckon with.
Yeah, Oliver Bonk, who played towards the end of the season there. I think he had a goal and a few assists. And then you got Michkov. I think is
Yeah, he's sorry. Go ahead.
No, he's supposed to be a great player. They were talking about him. What did he play? I think he played in Russia in the beginning after he got drafted. Then he finally came over to play in Philly. But he's had a kind of a slow start, but I think he's starting to look a little bit better maybe. I don't know if he's going to be that top player, but
I was reading a scout recently who was very high on him when he was coming into the NHL, who now believes that he doesn't have, he's not going to be the special player he thought he was. And, the skill that he had, and the high skill level he had is not translating as well to the NHL as he thought it would. He's not going to be a bad player, but doesn't think he's going to be special. We'll see.
Right. And Martone, going back to Martone.
He's special.
Without a doubt, he got the first two games in the playoffs. He got game-winning goals. They said he's the first teenage player to ever do that.
See, that's a guy like that. Well, listen, let's take a step back. How many times have we seen this with the Flyers anyway? Good young player comes along and they screw it up.
Right.
So we'll see. But that's the type of guy I just want the Rangers to draft. A stud center who's young, big, can score, skilled. Hopefully they have their opportunity in this upcoming draft. And who knows? As I mentioned on the podcast here a few times, just once, give me a late round, like a mid to late round draft choice who turns out to be, an all-star, a great player that nobody expected,
Right.
It's been 30 years since Hank, right? Well, maybe we have that in Nathan Aspinall, right? He was drafted in the 5th round 2 years ago by the Rangers, 6'7". Was nothing special. Nobody thought he was an NHL prospect. He broke out this year, was one of the leading scorers in the OHL, might even be the MVP, carried that team, scored almost 100 points. And reading a scout today, who said he improved in every area. That like, so now this guy's saying I didn't think much of him, but after watching him play this year, he might be something. Not just a third or fourth liner. They might have found something in this kid. We'll see.
Well, yeah.
It's one thing to do it in the OHL, it's another thing to do it in the NHL. But he's 6'7". He's improved his skating. He's got a great shot. He carried that team, and who knows? That could be a guy like, holy moly, look what we got in the 5th round.
Yeah, right. I hear you.
At least he has a chance to be that. So what else will a kid ask for?
Yeah.
And we'll see. Hopefully, whoever they get, in the upcoming draft, whether they win the lottery or not, is, somebody who's going to be, and there's a couple of guys out there after you get past McKenna and Sternberg, guys like Tynan Lawrence and Caleb Mahotra, a couple other guys I'll look up. I'm thinking of right now. Besic, guys who, are not in the same tier as Sternberg or McKenna, as scouts have rated them, but could be, one of those guys who got drafted, late in the, maybe, late, early in the, in the top 10 or whatever, 9, 10, who outperforms what people's expected of them, I wouldn't mind getting one of those guys, like a Porter Martone or whatever,
Sure.
So, and those guys happen all the time, right? You see those guys all the time, right? Guys who got drafted in the mid-first round and all of a sudden, become much better than the guys drafted ahead of them, right? Stutzel went 3rd, so I really can't use him as an example, but who am I thinking? I got to think about it, but, maybe they get one of those guys with the 6th or 7th pick. I don't know,
And he even has a good name, too. I like that name, Porter Martone.
That's a great name.
Isn't it?
Hockey name.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Without a doubt. Yeah.
Just can't root for him because he's a freaking flyer,
Yeah, I know. We'll see. So the Rangers. Oh, we'll go back to the Rangers real quick. Jonathan Quick retires. Announces his retirement.
Yeah.
We forgot to mention that. We got Guerin as I guess he's going to be the backup to Shesterkin probably next year, which he wasn't too bad. We saw him a couple times.
He's been highly rated as a prospect for a few years now. So hopefully, he'll get his opportunity and do well. And, Quick had a Hall of Fame career, won 2 Stanley Cups.
Yep.
Conn Smythe, he's going to walk right into the Hall of Fame. And good for him, He had a great career, local kid. Yeah. And he's going out, on his own terms.
Yeah.
So, good for him. So
maybe him and Anze Kopitar will be inducted the same year.
Oh,
Anze
yeah.
Kopitar, too.
They're both Hall of Famers, as is Drew Doughty. So you could lock that in.
100%. So
speaking of the Rangers, I think we were all encouraged by Schlemmer and Sikora and Noah Laba and, these the bottom 6 players who the Rangers seem to have a fair amount of them. Sullivan said something on breakup day that concerned me. I'm a big Sully fan, and he said, first he said, we want to get some puck-moving defensemen, which I agree with. That's been a Rangers, weakness for a few years now. But he said, we also need to beef up the bottom 6 and bring in some guys. And I'm like, hold on a second. Okay, wait a minute. So this is what the Rangers have done for years, right? So we're going to bring in another Connor Sherry and guys like that. So these young players don't get a chance to. I hope that's not what they meant and what he's going to do. I don't know. It just concerned me a little bit. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in the off season with our draft pick, and then maybe we'll pick somebody else up, and they'll improve the team. I mean, like we were talking about, they definitely improved from the Olympic break to the end of the season. Was a little bit of sunshine, like we saw a little bit of what could happen, and they didn't do much. They didn't, like you said, we didn't make any big moves or. Except for getting rid of Panarin.
You know what, though? This is something that, we really didn't think about. It's great. one of the big differences was Adam Fox,
Right,
He
right.
missed, what, 30 games, and he would have been, if he would have played, wasn't hurt, missed those big games, he'd be a Norris candidate. That's how good he
Yeah,
is.
right, right.
Miller maybe is getting healthy.
I
Perot
think
stepped
Miller.
up. Laffy played better. So
Right. Yeah,
you know,
Miller. I'd like to see what Miller can do for the Rangers too. I mean, he started out the season hurt. I think he tried to play through the injury coming back. He may have re-injured again, and then I think he just kind of tried to play through it. So hopefully we see 100%. JT Miller.
there's definitely, excuse me, some things to be optimistic about as a Ranger fan.
Right.
You feel a lot better about where they are, and they're not as far away as we might have thought a couple months before that. There's definitely some good things they can build on. Now you just have to hope they carry through.
Right. Yeah. That series with Hurricanes in Ottawa. Did you see the Martinook get the penalty shot in the first OT? That was game 2, I think.
He got stopped, right? And then he scored
he got stopped. It would have been the first time that it ever happened.
is that right?
To win in OT on a penalty shot. That would have been pretty wild if they just ended it right there. On the penalty shot, if he got it in, it would have been 3-2, and they would have been done. But he ended up scoring the OT winner anyway in the second. The second OT. So it was a little redemption for him.
Brind'Amour didn't try and deny the penalty shot and decline it.
Yeah,
have
right.
his goal scored,
Yeah.
Listen, I give the guy a hard time, but you know what? I'll tell you, for as much as I criticize him for reining players in, I'll tell you who's really played well and is kind of getting back to where people thought he was when he was rookie year is the Ghost. Shane's got to be at 55 points this year.
That's spare.
And I still believe what happened with Goddesbeer is, when Dave Hansen was the coach there, he tried to change him and get him to play a much more careful defensive style. And I think it ruined the kid, to be honest with you. Goddesbeer is a guy that, has special offensive abilities. And when you try and rein that in, you try to turn a player into something that he can't be, you lose both things. The good coaches, right? They know how to find the way to allow them to use that offensive ability and take the risks and chances, and and have them play smart enough where they're not a defensive liability. When I saw him at the World Cup that year, he was phenomenal. Like, he might have been the best player on the ice against the Russians. He was unbelievable, and they kind of ruined him, But maybe he's found his way back.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see the Chris Pronger story?
I don't think I did.
Oh, this is awesome. So Pronger wrote a book. He had a book come out, and the story with him. He signed an extension in Edmonton when they traded for him, and his wife was not happy, and he spent 1 year there, and he forced his way out. Well, in the book, he claims he negotiated and agreed to the contract when he was drunk, right? And didn't talk to his wife about it. Woke up the next morning, I guess I was like, "You did what?" So, whatever.
That's great.
Kevin Lowe, who was the president at the time, wasn't happy about it, and felt like he was being disrespectful. But it's funny, and was it you who told me recently you met Pronger? Is that you? Or was it someone else?
No. I
know who it was. It was my friend Hopwood in St. Louis. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, he does a lot of stuff with the Flyers, Pronger, right? With the Flyers.
Well,
alumni.
He was with them. They traded for him. He helped to get to the finals, and then his career ended.
Yeah. Yep. I got to meet.
Joe Quills just told us that Zegras tied the game up in Philly.
Yeah, 1-1. I saw that game was tied 1-1. I just looked it up.
Oh, this is great. I have to clip that soft spot for the Flyers later. LOL.
That's Joe Quills. Joe's
awesome.
Joe's a pretty funny guy. He's on the Bleacher Brothers Network. Does his couple shows, and he does the horse racing too. So we appreciate you coming in and checking us out, Joe. I know
Thanks for
he's
the
a big,
support, Joe. At least we know
yeah,
one person is listening.
he's a big Flyer fan too. Out in
Oh,
Philly.
you know
Out in
what?
Philly.
You
Take
know
it
what? I
back.
don't like him. I don't like him anymore. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
By the way, just real quick, how great was the Gaudreaus? By the way, how great was that?
Oh my God, so awesome. They were the
I was
best.
going to tell you, I was thinking about this today. You should reach out to him, to Guy. Like to
Yep.
get him on again. I think he's got great stories to tell.
Sure.
He was very candid. I don't know, like he was kind of soft spoken and said a couple of things that I didn't follow up on, but it was very candid. So I would I'd love to have him on because I think he'd have some great stories to tell, and I don't think he's, from what I've heard about him over the years, he's not a guy that holds back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So could be good. I'd like to have him on. He's got great stories to tell, and it might be therapeutic for him.
Right. No,
But
I'll
amazing
definitely.
interview.
I'll
Amazing.
definitely reach out. I actually may see him tomorrow. I'm heading out to Philly tomorrow to Barstool, and it's a Gaudreau Foundation. It's a fundraiser, so I'm going to head out there tomorrow night. I got reservations
So
to go there.
the Gaudreaus now have an award that goes to the USHL player who best exemplifies the spirit of Matty and Johnny, both on and off the ice, right? And the award was won this year by Jersey boy Blake Zielinski, who plays for Des Moines. He grew up in Berlin, New Jersey, not far from Hollydale. He's projected to go in the second round of the draft, in June. He's always been a prolific, just since he was a squirt, just a well known for being a top player in the country, and he's had a remarkable career since he left youth hockey. At 16 years old, he went to the USHL where he drafted third overall. 16-year-olds usually go to the USHL, a league like that, and then they don't play much, or it's a tryout that might come back. He excelled from the first game, right? He was on I think he was rookie of the year on the all-rookie team, scored almost a point a game. After that year, after the end of the year, he got selected to the Hlinka Gretzky team, which is the best, under 18 players in the world, and had a great tournament, led the U.S. to gold, had 9 points in 5 games, came back, had a great year, his second year in the USHL, won the Gaudreau Award, and also played for the U.S. in the World Junior Championships and led them to a gold medal. He is, he's another guy I think probably should go in the first round, but scouts kind of, see the flaws, not what he's accomplished. And he might be a kid that is another Gaudreau, though he's bigger and more talented, and has a great career. I think he will. So just to, the Gaudreaus gave him the award. So nice to see a Jersey kid win it.
Without a doubt. I reached out to him. I tried to contact him as soon as I saw that he won the award. I reached out to him on Instagram. Maybe he's not seeing my
Zielinski?
My message. Yeah. I also reached out to his father. I friended his father on Facebook, and he had gotten back to me and just let me know that, hey, I'll let Blake know and see if he's interested. But I haven't heard anything back, so I kind of blew it off.
Yeah,
and kind of moved
I might have it.
there.
Well, Guy might be able to get him on. Maybe what we could do is, tell Guy we want him and Zielinski to come on together to talk about the Gaudreau Award.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool too. Definitely.
I don't know Zielinski, never met him. I do have some friends who played with him at the Avs. And my friend Brad, who never pulls punches, said he's a great kid. He's unselfish, good teammate, very likable. But he was hyper competitive and had unrealistic expectations of himself. And when he didn't, he had a shift where he didn't score, he beat up on himself and was hard on himself, and that was hard to, kind of got in his way. But he seems to have gotten past that, matured, and nice to see a Jersey kid, win that award. And he's from South Jersey, so
yeah,
I
like to see the young kids make it, especially Jersey kids. I know I know Jimmy Dowd's big on that stuff too. He likes all the the New Jersey kids because he's
So I
obviously a
have
New
a
Jersey guy.
post I'm working on, and it'll be up on the forum probably tomorrow. There's every year there's a Jersey, one or two Jersey kids or local kids that get drafted. This year, there are, including Zelensky, 7 players who are ranked in this NHL Central Scouting rankings of the top 225 skaters in North America. 7 of them.
Wow.
One is Zelensky, who's projected to go in the second round. Another kid, Igor Barabanov, who played for me in a couple of tournaments. Great kid. By the way, he's an 06, and he hasn't been drafted the last 2 years. He didn't get drafted in his draft. Now he's an overage. He's expected to go in the second or third round. Then there's Ben Wilmot, who might go in the late round, 6th or 7th round, who's a Jersey kid, also got passed over the last 2 years. Then there's Julian Brown, another 06, who he's ranked number 190 or something. He might not get drafted, but, a scout told me when he was 14 that he said, that kid's going to play professionally someday. He said, I'm not saying NHL or AHL, but he'll play professionally in Europe or something. My son once told me, Dad, he's the strongest player I've ever played against. And the kid is 6'5", whatever, but it's not just that. He said, Dad, he could put his hand on you, and I couldn't move.
Wow.
That's how strong he was.
Oh.
Then there's Nicholas Sikora, Peter Sikora's kid, who is projected to be in the 7th round. I don't think he's going to get drafted. Matt Minchuk, who's an 08 goalie for the Rockets, played for me in a couple of tournaments, is ranked in the top 10 goalies in their rankings, may get drafted. And then a personal favorite of mine, Nico Tornas, who's an 06, who my son, they played in the same division for 2 years, and Nico just absolutely destroyed us game after game, including in the beating us in double overtime in the AY semifinals. Just super talented kid. But undisciplined, whatever. Never thought in a million years that kid was going to end up, being drafted. Again, he's an 06. He's expected to go in the 3rd or 4th round. So,
nice.
It takes a lot of different paths to the NHL. But Nico, I'm going to have some good stories about him on the post of my forum and some good videos of him. But yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. So we had played them the first year we played them. He had back-to-back hat tricks and beat us. The third time he had 5 points, right? They beat us, dominated us. We finally beat them the 4th time. At the end, we played him in the end of the season tournament, right? After the season ended. And he had 4 goals in the first period and a half, right? At 5 points. Just typical, just dominating. So my son, on his own, without even talking to him, decided he was going to shadow him for the rest of the game. Wasn't going to let him score. And he shut him down from that point forward. And
oh, wow, nice.
Nico's like this big. Jackson's like this big at the time. And Jackson wouldn't let up. Fouled him all over the ice. And after a couple of shifts, his coach said to him, Jackson, you decided to shadow him, right? He said, yeah, I'm tired of that kid scoring 100 goals against us. And he shut him down. He drove him nuts. At one point he hit Jackson over the head with his stick. And because Jackson wouldn't give him room. And he tried to push him, knock him down. At one point he said to Jackson, would you leave me alone? And I said, what did you say to him? He said, I said, no. And Jackson ended up scoring a hat trick in the 3rd, and we ended up tying him. And, but Nico had the last laugh. The following year, he, set up the game winner in double overtime to beat us. And, so some fun stories,
Nice. Oh, yeah. That's definitely cool. Good stuff. All right, we got an update from the Flyer game, 2-1 Flyers.
Jeez. What is going on here?
Rasmus Ristolainen gets the I think he's a defenseman too, Ristolainen. They were almost going to get rid of him. He was on the chopping block the same time Trocheck was on the chopping block. Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah, when they traded for him, he was overpaid or whatever. It's Pittsburgh and Philly. It doesn't matter what the records are. When they meet in the playoffs, that's such a rivalry. It doesn't matter,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But Pittsburgh's got a lot of old veterans on that team who've been there before, so they got their back against the wall. I don't think they could come back from down 3-0. So They're going to have to find a way to win this game. or
Yeah.
we may be looking at an early exit for Crosby and Malkin and Carlson.
I'm sure everybody saw that knock joke about Owen Tippett with Owen Tippett and Crosby.
No, I didn't hear about it. What was it?
Yeah, it was just like a little meme somebody put out on Facebook. It was a knock joke. Knock knock. Who's there? Owen. Owen who? Owen 2. It's because they were now they're going to be. Well, I'm not going to say they're going to be 0-3, but it's definitely a strong possibility. And they're in Philly tonight too. That's
What's
the
that?
first. They're in Philly. They're in Philly tonight. So I think the first 2 games were
In Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah. Yeah,
Look,
so
Pittsburgh's a veteran team with a lot of experience, but I don't think they could come back from 3-0. I don't think they have a minute in them.
right. So Penguins in a 5 a couple of weeks ago.
And Joe Quill said something that Joe, I agree with you if you're listening. Sometimes when you have a young team, you just don't know any better, right? Like it's like that cartoon when Wile E. Coyote would run off the cliff, right?
Yeah.
And he's suspended in air until he looks down and said, "Oh shit!" They don't know they're not supposed to beat the Flyers, right? Like he said, the oblivious Flyer, the young team, and they're putting it to Pittsburgh, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
Joe, look, like I just said to Looch, it doesn't matter what the records of those 2 teams are. When they meet in the playoffs, it's such a rivalry. Anything can happen. 3-1 Flyers.
Oh, you see that? Yeah.
All right, Crosby and Malkin and Carlson. Let's see what you got. And Letang.
Nick Seeler. Nick Seeler with the goal. Looks like I'm bouncing back and forth here. Flyers are up 3-1. So, whew, man, the damn Flyers. Yeah, like I said,
the way that series looks is it's the Flyers have all the momentum. They got hot at the end of the year. They're on a roll. Pittsburgh, with an inexperienced team, you don't know if you're getting a deer in the headlights or someone who doesn't know what the pressure is. That is very true, Joe. Very, very true. We've seen that a lot over the years, right? Team comes into the playoffs, don't know any better, and boom, it's they outkick their coverage.
Yeah, you never know when it's like it's always a new season when you come into the playoffs. The regular season sometimes doesn't even matter. You come into the playoffs and it's like, bam, these teams just come out of nowhere and just start dominating.
Well, when you're a young team like that, you're playing with house money, right? You're not going to feel any pressure, right?
Yeah.
You're not expected to do anything, right? You made the playoff unexpectedly. You're getting, experience. And next thing you know, you just go out and play.
Yeah.
You see it all the time, especially when a team is hot at the end of the year like they were,
Oh, yeah.
And listen, let's be honest. Pittsburgh struggled the last couple of years. It's not like they were that much better this year. I think things kind of broke right for them. They're not, no matter who it was they were going to play, they weren't going very far in the playoffs. Flyers are probably better than them.
Right. Yeah. Joe says it might give it to Glendening.
As someone once said to me a long time ago, children should hurry up and grow up while they still know everything, So maybe that fits the Flyers. I don't know.
So we got 3-1 Flyers, man. Whew. Damn.
That series just has all the looks of a team that's just, that. Listen, I think the Flyers are just better than them.
Right. I agree.
They're young. They're talented. Pittsburgh's okay. Yeah, look, they had a good year, but they're not great,
No, I don't think so either. I mean, you got Malkin and Crosby, but they're getting up there. Crosby can only do so much, and Malkin's a hell of a player. I mean, he's always been. And I always liked him. Big. He reminded me of Yager a lot. I don't know if he was
Malkin?
as good as Yager, but
oh yeah,
yeah,
sure.
So, well, I mean, that would have been a guy.
Team, right?
Yeah. Yep.
3 Stanley Cups together.
Yeah.
But they're old.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
I don't know who who's their goalie again?
On Pittsburgh, that's oh geez, who the hell is it? Going a blank. Look that up. I forget now.
Yeah, I forgot. By the way, who's that guy in Edmonton? Is he playing because Skinner's hurt or Jerry's hurt or
Um,
Simon or something?
oh, I don't know.
He didn't look very good to me the other night, giving up some of those goals. But by the way, they're what, tied 1-1 in that series. I don't think McDavid has a point yet.
Oh, Skinner's
Oh
in
yeah,
goal
they traded him for
yeah,
Jarry. That's right.
And Seelov's.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's right. Stewart
Yeah,
Skinner,
this
the
is-
Edmonton guy.
Flyers are definitely better with come on, Stuart Skinner couldn't beat me.
Yeah, well, and then with the Islanders, you got Vladar. I like Vladar.
Who?
Vladar for the Flyers.
Oh, the young guy who's playing
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah, I liked him. I took him in my fantasy league. He did pretty good for me too. That's Joe.
Yeah. So who's the goalie? Ingram. Ingram played in the first game. Whoever the hell that is. Get an .899 save percentage. Hoova. Poor McDavid, huh?
Oh God, I know. So, let me see. Let's go into what's the other series? Stars and Wild. That's tied up 1-1.
That's a great series,
Yeah. Wyatt Johnson playing pretty good over there. That's one of my favorite players. It's Dallas Stars.
Your Anaheim Ducks,
Yeah,
given,
no,
your team,
they're
given
struggling.
McDavid and Edmonton fits.
Yeah, Oilers lead 1-0 over there in that series. Yeah, the Ducks, I think, kind of tailed off towards the end of the season there. I think they're
Well, they're young,
Yes.
but they have a bright future.
Yep. Gauthier and
Bennett Seneca,
Seneca, yeah.
the Gauthier, Carlson,
Kreider and Trouba, too. McTavish, another good player, I think.
Jacob Trouba.
Carlson, right? You say Carlson. Or no, is it Carlson?
Leo Carlson, yep.
Leo Carlson, right.
They still got, Lindbergh or that guy, right?
Not sure.
The Swede who they drafted high. Can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up. But anyway.
Well, and then you mentioned the Mammoth in Vegas. What else we got? Colorado and LA. All right, so you want to make some picks or what for these series? I mean, there are a couple games in, but we can kind of go through them anyway and just say, hey, I don't know. Sometimes I like to pick teams that I like. Not that necessarily they're going to win, but
go ahead. You make a pick. You pick. Let's go series by series. You make a pick, and then I'll make it.
Yeah, obviously the Pittsburgh and Philly series. I like Philly.
I think. Well, that's going out on a limb, Looch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I'm taking chances here, man. I'm really.
No, but you were high on the Flyers. You told me you would like the way they were playing, and
oh yeah, without a doubt. And my neighbor across the street, give a shout out to John Darcy, a huge Flyer fan, Eagles fan, and Phillies fan. Sometimes he gets on my case because I'm a Yankees and Rangers, but I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to pull for the Flyers in this first series. So I'm going with Flyers in that first series. Obviously, they're going to probably or maybe pull it off. You never know. Anything can happen in the playoffs.
Anything can happen, but I think, like I said, I think it's more than just them being on a roll. They're probably better than Pittsburgh at this point. So I agree with that.
Right.
I think go ahead, Carolina.
Carolina and Ottawa. I think Carolina's going to take that.
I think so too.
Both can agree on that. I think Carolina's up 2 games to 0, so we're kind of cheating a little bit here. The other series got Buffalo and Boston.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that is a tough one. That series is tied 1-1.
What do you think?
I like Buffalo. I mean, I'm kind of betting with my heart, I guess, with that one a little bit because Tage Thompson's one of my favorite players in the NHL.
Who
I
is?
always Tage Thompson, TNT, Tage
Oh yeah,
Thompson,
big boy.
just a big kid. Been playing really good for Buffalo, and like I said, Rasmus Dahlin, I like I think he's a solid defenseman on that team, and Matthias Samuelsson. I saw Samuelsson play over the summertime at one of the at the checking for charity game, and I didn't even know who he was. So he was standing right next to me. And I said,
Which charity game? The shoulder check?
Checking for charity. That was at Hollydale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was actually the one that the Gaudreaus used to play in. So
Oh, is that right?
yeah, so I went out there, and they had quite a few NHL guys playing in that. Rasmus or Matthias Samuelsson was playing in it. Tony DeAngelo. I think Gabranson from Columbus, I want to say.
Who?
Gabranson. I think it was Gabranson. I think he was playing in that. I got a list of all the players that were in. A lot of local guys. Jimmy Dowd's son. His son played in that game. Oliver Bonk. That's the first time I saw Oliver Bonk when he was playing in that tournament out there checking for charity. And they're going to have it again this year. I'm going back out there again. So I'm going to it's a good little tournament. There was a whole bunch of teams. I mean, geez, I think Jimmy Dowd's son's team won the whole thing.
Well, there's a
with Bonk.
every summer now. There's one in Connecticut that raises money for an organization called Shoulder Check, and it was started by parents of Hayden Thorson, who was an 06 goalie in the area who committed suicide at like 15 years old. Tragic. And they raise money to raise awareness that it's okay to admit that you have a problem, and also you know, shoulder check, meaning you should check on your friends and make sure they're okay, and you know, so you know, it was tragic. Hayden was a great kid, you know, and that, like, that young, you know, it's horrible.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's yeah. Always reach out to somebody, man. Talk to a friend. You know, let them know what's going on, and get some help.
Listen,
it's
if anybody's
there.
listening out there, you should never be too proud to admit you have a problem. And look, you know, I've seen some tough times in my life, and you know, I didn't grow up in the greatest of circumstances. And I can tell you something right now: it always gets better. If you give it a chance, it always gets better.
Yep.
No matter your darkest days, it'll get better at some point. You know, just time.
Right.
Yeah. So, especially that young, so horrible when I heard the story.
Oh yeah. It's terrible.
Terrible.
We got the
All right, so Boston, Buffalo. What do you got?
Boston, Buffalo. Yeah, we got to rock and roll here. We're getting close to the 9 o'clock. Boston, Buffalo. I'll go with Buffalo on that one.
I'm going with Boston. I don't think I thought we didn't have the time limit anymore. Now that we're on our own.
Well, we kind of don't, but I don't know if it shouldn't cut out on us. But I think we're good.
Come on, man. Let's live free. Live free or die, Looch.
All right, we'll go over to the West. Edmonton and Anaheim.
Tampa Bay, Montreal.
Oh yeah, okay. Tampa Bay, Montreal. I like Montreal. I don't know. That series is tied 1-1. I like Montreal. I mean, Tampa's a good team. I'd like to see Montreal bump them out. You know, give somebody else a shot. We don't want to see another Florida team in.
I could see them beating Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I think Montreal's a team on the upcome, but I'm gonna go Tampa.
Yeah. All right. I could see
go
that.
over to the West.
We got Colorado and LA. Colorado's up 2-0. I got Colorado. I like Colorado right to the end.
Me too.
I like Colorado right in the Stanley Cup final.
I agree.
You know, maybe they'll break that President's Trophy, you know, curse that everybody talks about. So you like Colorado?
We'll go Colorado. Edmonton, Anaheim.
We can go to Anaheim and Edmonton. I think I like it, Anaheim, but I think Edmonton's gonna. They're just too good of a team. I mean, I think they're gonna beat Anaheim.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Edmonton.
right.
Vegas Mammoth.
Vegas Mammoth. Oh man. I'd like to see Utah win, but I think Vegas is gonna pull it off. I mean, you got Tortorella over there at Vegas, but that's a tough one now, man. Yeah, they're tied up 1-1 in the series. Utah, Utah could find some what do they call it, fire in a bottle or something like that.
Got a lot of
That's
young
that's crazy.
talent.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as I said at the top of the show, don't be surprised if the Mammoth beat them. I'm going to predict the Mammoth are going to beat them.
All right,
I'll go with the
nice.
Mammoth. You going with
I like
Vegas?
I like it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vegas. I might be making a mistake there, and I'd like to see Utah win, like I said, but um, I
All
don't
right,
know.
that brings us to the
Right.
really, really hard one.
Yeah, Dallas and Minnesota, they're tied up 1-1. It's kind of another one, like I like Dallas. I really like that team. Rantanen and Wyatt Johnson, another player that's on the top of my list. Ottinger, I kind of think it depends on Ottinger, if he plays good, if he's he's that top goalie that he usually is, but I don't know. Well, you got Kaprizov. I think Zook is out right now for the Minnesota. Dallas and Minnesota.
Tough one.
Yeah, I see Minnesota winning it. I was a little surprised when I saw that first game. I was like, damn, Minnesota came out with what was it, 6-1. I initially picked Dallas in that when I was thinking Dallas and Colorado in that second series, and then Colorado beating Dallas. But oh geez, I'll stick with Dallas, I guess. Maybe they'll pull it off. Who the hell knows?
So that's a series that is impossible to pick, right? It could go either way. It's going to come down to who makes plays, who plays better at the right times, a couple of little puck luck. I'm going to go with Dallas. I think it's like the fourth year in a row I picked them to win the cup or whatever, and they haven't won it yet.
Right.
Keep doing it; it'll be right at some point. Now, Dallas has it all. They and they have the experience. I could see the Wild win. That series could go either way, but I'm going to go with Dallas because I think experience is going to carry them through, and then they're going to get to lose to Colorado, who might go all the way.
Right.
And so anyway, yeah. All right. So we agree on that one.
Yeah. I think that was it, right? We went through all of them.
Yep.
What are we thinking? What are we thinking towards the end? Like out of the East and out of the West? We both, I think, said Colorado. And you said what? You thinking Carolina maybe, or
yeah? I think Colorado, Carolina.
Yeah, I would love to see it be Colorado and Montreal, only because of few friends of mine are Montreal fans, or Buffalo. I mean, Montreal probably would be a good one.
And if I've learned anything over the past 2 years, despite having a terrible defense and no goalie, Edmonton could very well go back to the finals. McDavid's that good, and they're that good. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'd love to see him win a cup. I really would.
No, I agree.
And I think this time, if they can get through the West, they'll win it. And look, so Colorado, right? So Dallas and Minnesota are going to take one of them's going to take the other out, right? And then the next round is Colorado and one of those teams. So that'll take the other out. Right. So Edmonton has to just beat. So what? So if they win, they play what? The winner of the Mammoth Vegas series?
Right? I think so. Yeah. Yep.
So if Vegas somehow gets upset, even if they don't, that'd be a tough second round matchup. But let's say Vegas loses. Now Edmonton has an easy path to the West. Not easy. It's never easy. Western Conference Finals, and Colorado and/or whoever's there have spent the playoffs beating up on each other. Maybe that gives Edmonton an advantage.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah. And all it takes is one or two injuries to change the whole series. We know that.
Oh, for sure. And look, somehow they got to the finals the past 2 years with, um, no goalie and no D. That's how great McDavid is. And well, they went 7 games both times, right? Am I right?
Um, what was that? What series was that?
The Florida, they played Florida 2 years and they went both times. They went
I
game
think it
seven,
was
right?
7. I think it was 7 games.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Florida.
McDavid's just on another level, and
Yeah,
Draisaitl and Bouchard, and
right,
we'll see. We'll see.
right. Yeah, they got a good team over there.
Yep.
I haven't been able to see too much of that series. I watched a little bit of the Colorado, LA, and Dallas and Minnesota games, but those games being the late games, sometimes it's tough during the week. I try to stay up and watch the games, but I start to get tired. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I
gotta get
don't think
up.
that Colorado LA series is going very far. It's not going to go
No,
past.
no, no, no.
Yeah, I don't think it's not going to be a long series.
Let's see if we can get a jump over and get a score real quick. Looks like we're 3-1 still with the Flyers, and the other games haven't started. No, not yet. Nick Sealer still has
Listen,
the
I'm going to go
goal.
out on a limb and make a call right now, like the numbers counters on election night. I'm going to make a call here. The series is over. Flyers are going to win. Pittsburgh has no chance of coming back. Joe, by the way, I would apologize, but I hate the Flyers, so I just put the kiss of death on you
It's Joe.
because we
Oh,
all know when
Joe
I
out
say something like that, it goes the other way.
there. Yeah,
My wife
right.
said to me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, my son's team was, making a run to a championship unexpectedly. She said, "Keep picking them to lose, because every time you pick, they, saying it's never going to happen, they win." So
All right, so we got our picks in for the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and it's so much fun to watch. I mean, geez, it's just at another level when you watch the NHL players. There's no sport like it.
hockey, my whole life is the one sport that I could watch a regular season game between two bad teams, and I can watch any playoff game. It's just different.
I know, I know.
The thing about
Rangers,
hockey is it's not as popular as the other three sports, but I've said this, but the people who love it more than any other sport. It just gets in your blood, you know.
mm-hmm.
It's so different,
Yep.
the culture, yes, just so much of it. It's just such a great sport. But
I agree. I agree 100%. So we'll start wrapping it up here a little bit. We got I was mentioning to you earlier that we have the New Jersey High School Hall of Fame coming up on Sunday.
are you
Uh,
going?
I have a ticket. I will probably be going to that. It's my daughter's birthday, but she gave me the okay and said that we're not going to go out to dinner till about 6. So it's from 12 to 4. I just wanted to throw out a couple names that people that are getting inducted. You got Rich McIntyre, who
Who?
played for Rich McIntyre. He played
Okay.
for Brick High School, or the Brick Hockey Club. I'm pretty sure he played in the high school too. He went to Upsala College.
And
Rich,
our good friend Peter Morris, right?
yes,
Posthumously?
Peter Morris is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I had mentioned to you over the weekend on Sunday, I had breakfast with Matthew Schneider from that used to play for the Rangers and the Montreal Canadiens, and he said to me that he played. He was a teammate of Pete Morris, so I was a little surprised to hear that.
Wait, he was a teammate of Pete Morris?
Yeah, I think it.
Where, in college?
I think maybe it was in. I don't know. Maybe it was in Brick, because I know he did play for the Brick Hockey Club for a short time.
Well,
Schneider.
Coach Schneider is a Jewish kid from New York City. There's probably no less likely, a profile that would make the NHL, a Jewish kid from New York City.
Right.
So, I know
Right.
Peter Morris played Division III somewhere up in Boston and had a successful career, a college career. So,
Yeah, I should have found out, but I'm going to work on him. I got his phone number, and I think I'm going to try to get him on the show.
He'd be a
One week.
great guest.
Yeah,
You know,
Matthew Schneider is a player agent. He was here checking out some players, and I was fortunate enough to have breakfast and lunch with him, which was pretty neat.
he'd have some great
So,
stories to tell playing up in Montreal and
yeah,
that
yeah, he
run they
did.
went on to the Stanley Cup. So
Yep,
be a
yep,
great
he
guest. Love to have him on.
sure did. He had some good stories. And I think he was from Tom's River too. He had a house in Tom's River. He was
Oh, is that right?
yeah. After our breakfast, he took a ride into Tom's River, and I think he took some pictures of the house and sent them to his
What, when he was growing up or
to
now?
his mom. No, when he was growing up. Yeah,
Okay.
his old house. So I didn't realize he was a '93 Stanley Cup winner with the Montreal Canadiens, and I think he was a two-time All-Star. I want to say.
Maybe more than that. So I'm looking at his Wikipedia page.
Uh huh.
He was born in Manhattan. He lived, up until he left, until high school in West New York, New Jersey. And then he moved with his family to Woonsocket, Rhode Island for his high school years. And he attended Mount St. Charles Academy, which is one of the, legendary high school programs in the country. Which, by the way, if you ever get a chance, there's a documentary called Ice Kings, right? And it's about Mount St. Charles high school team who won, I think it's 23 state championships in a row. And some crazy number like that. I forgot what the amount is. And so Jackson played with a kid whose dad was went to Mount St. Charles and was one of the first teams that started that run. And, when you hear that, you think, okay, so, they were so much better, they dominated, but it's not. It's an incredible story how, their rival Bishop something had 3 future NHL players on it, 4, including the goalie. And somehow they won every single year, like even when teams better. It's just such a crazy story. And what the players talk about is that it became a thing where they didn't want to be the team that ended the streak. And it's called Ice Kings. You can get it on Amazon. You should watch it as a hockey fan. It's great. Great.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
Tonight it might have been. Oh, so they won 26 straight state championships, Looch. Look,
wow.
This is not like Nebraska, right? This is Rhode Island, New England hockey. You know how many good teams there are up there and players?
Right.
Snyder was part of 3 of them.
Yeah.
So he won 3 of the 26. And I lose it?
Yeah, we got disconnected there for a second.
Oh, we switched sides.
Yeah, how did that happen? Let's see if I can switch us back. There we go.
All right.
So, yeah, Schneider. He was he's 56 years old. Played for 20 years in the 20. Yeah, he did say 20 years in the NHL. Wow.
All-star player, and
that's a hell of a
might
career.
have even been the captain of the Canadiens for a while. I don't know.
That's a hell of a career. He was naming some of the players that he played with. He said Brian Leach.
He's been inducted to the Southern California Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, and he might be the only person ever inducted.
Wow.
That Hall of Fame. I'm kidding. I'm joking, but.
All right. So I will going to reach out to him probably next week, I think, or so. I wanted to give him time to get back home to down to Florida, and I didn't want to just reach out to him like the next day or anything because he was leaving. He was leaving the next day.
And you're still working on Mateau, right?
Yeah. I sent the message to Mateau, but he never got back to me. I'll reach out to him again, see what happens, and maybe he got it, maybe he didn't get it, maybe he doesn't want to be bothered. I have no idea.
Well, that would be a great guest. So much we could talk about with him.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple contacts with him through a couple people, so I don't see why not. Maybe he just doesn't realize, I'll have to put in a couple names.
Dude, I have no doubt you'll get him.
Yeah, no, I'll eventually get him. There's no doubt about it. Um, I have a couple guys. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, we'll try to work out. Um,
And we know at some point Jimmy will come on.
yeah. He reached out, said he would come on. I just got to get a day with him, and
He's been telling me that for a year,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And he means it. Jimmy's not the type of guy that big time, but he's just,
right.
he's got so much stuff going on that,
Yep,
it's hard to find the time. But
yep. I agree.
we'll get him.
Yes, we will. Hopefully before the end of the season, so we can talk a little NHL with him, see where his head's at, who he thinks going to win. I'm sure he likes Montreal. The Minnesota Wild. I'm sure one of his favorites. We can name all of his
Flyers,
favorites. The
Edmonton.
Flyers. Right. I think he played for Colorado too, didn't he?
I don't think he played. I mean, did he? Well, like I said, he played for every team in the NHL,
Yeah.
so probably.
Right.
Played for Montreal, I believe.
Yep. Edmonton.
Edmonton, yeah. Played a few years up there.
Yeah. No Boston, no Buffalo, I don't think.
What's funny is he's known as a New Jersey Devil because he won the Stanley Cup and played for Minnesota because he won the Stanley Cup up there. And he really only played for them for like a year and a half. Something you don't realize,
Oh, really? What, the Devils?
Yeah, he wasn't there long.
Oh, man. Wow. I felt like he was there for a long time. Didn't he play? Did he play there and then he came back, though? I want to say.
You know what? I stand corrected. So he came up in '92 for one game, got sent back down, spent '93 in Utica. Came up in '93 again for one game, got sent back down. He came up in '94 for 15 games and then, played all 19 games in the playoffs. And then the following year, he became that was the strike shortened season. So he spent most of the season in the minors, and then he came up, played the last 10 games of the regular season. And then, all the playoff games, I think. Let me look here. Yep. And scored the game-winning. Did he score the game-winning? Was that Peluso? But he scored a goal in the deciding game. So came back the next year, only played 28 games with the Devils the following year, and then he got traded to Vancouver, where he started his journey. Ended up back in the minors in '97 in the AHL, and then came back and played 3 games for the Islanders at the end of that year.
Wow.
Right, and then ended up in Calgary the following year. That's '98. Played 48 games. Got sent back to the minors in '98 and '99. I didn't realize that. I never knew this. And then he signed with the Oilers in '99. Played 1 game, right? And then in 2000, he's back with the Oilers. Played the full season with them. And then he, went to Minnesota after that. Played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons with Minnesota.
Yeah.
Played almost every game. Became a key contributor.
Right.
And then after 5 years with the Wild, he played for the Canadiens, 14 games. Then got sent. Then he went over to Europe. It looks like maybe that was the strike shortened season. Came back in '06, played 60 games with the Blackhawks. Right. He did play for Colorado. You're right.
Right.
Played 18 games for them at the end of the '06 season. Did come back to the Devils. Played the '07 season with them. Then signed with the Flyers in '08, and then retired.
Gotcha. Nice.
Quite a journey.
Yeah, sure is.
Had a great career. Won a Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah. At every level. Championships at every level. He won 3 at 3 different levels. I remember him saying that: high school, college, and then the NHL. So
yeah, I know he won. I think he won. I know he won more than 1 national championship with Lake Superior. But I have won 3.
Wow. Yeah.
And he's always told me, Jeff, my first coach when I got to Aldi, and my first GM, the first coach was Herb Brooks. First GM was
Yeah.
They taught me. Said Herb Brooks taught me so much about the game in that 1 year. What drills to run, and how to make a hockey player, and yada yada yada.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Also said that Jock Lemaire was probably the best coach he ever played for.
Hmm.
Oh, I didn't realize he was teammates with Doug Wade at Lake Superior State.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I do remember that. Yep.
Let's
Dougie Wade,
see.
good friends
Trying
with
to
him.
see if how many national championships they won. I'll Google it. Yeah, yeah. So that was his first coach, Herb Brooks.
Nice. So we got. Just wanted to mention real quick before we start to wrap up. We got the Goudreau Family 5K walk May 16th. Is a Saturday. I'm going to head out to that. I got signed up. Me and my wife. We're going to do the walk, and that should be what's Gritty's going to be there from the Flyers. The Flyers,
Gritty.
yeah. I think the Philly Fanatic's going to be there, from what I hear. Maybe get a couple of NHL guys showing up.
Oh, they definitely will. You know?
Yeah, Tony DeAngelo was there last year. Brady Tkachuk was there last year. So if Brady's there again this year, I'll have to have a talk with him and tell him, like, listen, come on, man. You're living in New Jersey, or you got a house in Jersey now. New York's not that far. It's a good, easy commute for you. Jump on the train. I did go to.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I did see a couple of. I went to the Rangers' last home game against Buffalo, and I saw John Giannone on the on the train going up there at Secaucus.
Yeah, he lives somewhere near Westfield. I used to see him at the Union Thunder rink a lot.
All right.
Yeah. So.
He knew we saw him because my wife gave me the old nudge. She's like, "Oh, look who it is! Look who it is!" I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, John, and then he came walking past us and he said hello to us because he knew that we had seen him. He says, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Hello," and then he kept walking. He ended up sitting in the front of the train that we were on going into the city. So
Gotcha.
that was, yeah.
So yeah, Dad won one national championship.
Nice.
Peter Morris Jr.'s committed there.
Oh, he did. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, we'll see. That was a couple of years
Superior.
ago. It was always based on development, so we'll see if he,
right.
If they follow through. But yeah,
right. All right. We'll wrap it up. We'll head out of here, and we'll. I think things went pretty good. I'll have to look at the recordings and see how everything came out. This was our first time I'm running the show here behind the scenes with my. Doing the production, setting it all up to a restream, and hopefully we can get this thing rolling with all these, it's a lot of setting up, the backgrounds, the music, the this, the that. We don't have any commercials quite yet set up.
Look, it couldn't be worse than it was,
Yeah,
so
right.
With, what page it was on and all that. So
yeah, sometimes you get glitches in the system, and we'll work all of that stuff out. But we'll be back next Wednesday, 8:00. We'll have
days. Let's do it.
Have a lot to talk about. Some of these series might be wrapped up by that time.
Yeah,
the
Flyers Penguins will. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you want to see any games in that series, you better catch the next one because it's not going to be lasting much longer.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I got work to do. So.
Yep. Sounds good. Yep.
No
we'll head out of here.
Have a good night, brother.
All right. Thanks. You too.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Have a good one.
Bye.